Good morning, folks. Mark Frederic, Le Charcuterie Anglais here. Yeah, got my Q&A card out. It's actually blank, this one. Reason being, I get asked about this question so many times. Hundreds of questions I get about this. Not all at the same time, I must admit, but it's just to give you a clue. The question is going to be about, can you guess? Smoking. Do I have any smoking tips? Which is better, cold smoking or hot smoking? Well, the answer really it's entirely up to you. You know what you prefer. If you prefer to smoke and eat at the same time, so as soon as the product is finished hot smoking, then you can take it out of the smoker and eat it, serve it and eat it immediately. And you can do that with all kinds of food products. Fish is pretty good actually. Hot smoke, salmon in particular, oily fish. You need oily fish because with smoking you need a glue. So of course oily fish provide the glue, don't they? So if you're in other parts of the world where you don't have oily fish, because the waters around you, the sea, etc., is warm waters, you're unlikely to have oily fish. So what can you do? Well, you can create your own glue, and one of the ways to do that is actually use some apricot jam, because apricot's pretty neutral. Just melt it in a little cooking pot. Just slowly bring it up to heat so it becomes fluid, and then you can brush that on very, very thinly onto the fish, and that becomes your glue, or pellicle as it's known. The word is known. So normally what happens with anything, you need to cure your products first, except for like maybe vegetables, and even then it's not a bad idea. But like garlic, you don't need to cure garlic. The garlic can go straight in. Cheese is already cured, in the making as such, because of the salt that's added, and particularly like cheddar. But anyway, with cheese, there's not always a pellicle as such, but there's enough fat there to produce a sticky surface and for smoke to attach to the product. You do not, now listen to this, you do not want the smoke to penetrate through your meat. Okay, that's just too much. It's overkill. And your friends, family, including yourself, you're not going to like it. You need the smoke to attach itself to the product, whether it's fish or meat. Attach, hence the glue. That's all you need, is for the smoke to stick to the glue. That's it. So of course, like I said, curing is the best way forward. Without curing, you don't get the best results. So meat or fish, always cure first. And fish, particularly salmon, for example, just to give you a rough idea. I know there's plenty of other people who do it completely different and will say, oh, that's a load of rubbish, don't do it that way, do it this way. But that's fine. Everybody's entitled to their opinion on how things need to be done. This is my way, and it's only to give you a guide, something to work from. Okay, so take this as a guide, and then sample it at the end and see where you want to change, the guidelines. And that is basically like with a whole side fillet of salmon, cure it for 8 hours. Now I tend to dry cure salmon. You can wet cure, and a lot of fish are worth wet curing because they're fragile. But the ones that are a bit meatier, like salmon or tuna, then you need to dry cure, in my opinion. So dry cure for 8 hours, rest for 8 hours. A very, very important part of smoking is resting. Okay, and that's when the pellicle forms, because the salt and any other ingredients that you've used in your curing help to draw out the proteins and the mycins within the meat, and that's what forms your sticky surface, your glue on the outside of your fish or your meat. Okay, so after the resting period, then you can put it in the smoker and then smoke it for 8 hours. So each step has been 8 hours. Okay, it's a guide. That's your starting point. And so if you're new to the game, that's what you want to be working to, and then work out, you know, work backwards, work forwards, sideways, whatever, until you find one that's, you know, a system that suits you. But I'm just giving you something to start from. So cold smoking is anything between 0 and 30 degrees centigrade, and hot smoking is anything from 30 degrees above. However, saying that, cooking temperature really starts round about, in my opinion, round about the 50-55 mark. And so of course, like you know, cooking for Homer in a restaurant or whatever, we normally take it above 70. EHO's likely to take it to 73, don't they? And 1 or 2 75, which is killing it. But so yeah, cooking temperatures anything from 50, 55 upwards, and fish you just don't want to overcook anyway. So yeah, that's what you got to do. So you got to you know, get it cured, get it rested, then get it in your smoker. Decide whether you're going to cold smoke or hot smoke. So if you want some hot smoked salmon, a little steak, go ahead, do it. Get it up to the right temperature just before serving. Or if you want a cold smoke and eat it cold, like sliced, you know, sliced smoked salmon, which is one of my favourites, then the temperature has got to be less than 30 degrees. So that's what you got to do to achieve that. And think about all your other products as to where you think what you need to cold smoke or hot smoke. If you put a big lump of cheese in your smoker, it's not going to be there. It's not going to be there if you hot smoked it. You go back, you go back for it. It's all melted, you know. So so that needs to be cold smoked. Hams definitely need, in my opinion, need to be cold smoked. Bacon too. You can hot smoke these things, and there's always going to be somebody out there who'll contradict me. And that's, like I said, that's fine. Everybody's got their own way, and you'll develop your own way. But I'd like you to just have a look at you know, my smoker, because I've actually got a few things going in there. Let me see if I can turn this camera around. But no, don't know how to do that, so we're going to have to do it this way. So forgive me while I get the angle. But, so I'm just going to show you what I've got going in there. I'm not sure if you can pick up the smoke. So I've got a piece of lardo in there. It's something I featured the other day on a different video. I said I'd get it down to my allotment to smoke. But oh, smoke's coming up into my face now. I've got short back bacon in there. That's been cured, and that's now, it's only just been put into smoke this morning, same as the lardo. But I've got some sausages here that are ready, and I'm just gonna love it. I'm just going to put that back in so as I can finish speaking to him. And that one, those sausages I put cheese in, and they're really nice. Smoked cheese, pork, ham and cheese in those sausages. So yeah, what other tips can I give you? Yeah, all your smokers are going to be different, and you can see on mine there's a smoke box there, the smaller box. All right, but perhaps if I just get back up and show you what I'm burning today. But, so there you go. Got some large sawdust in there. But it's usually finer. The finer the better, because what you need to do is you need to cut out the oxygen, all right, and that particular sawdust is okay, but if you get anything coarser than that, oxygen can get in, and then it'll all ignite into a fire rather than smouldering smoke, and that's what you need, is smoke and no fires. So avoid oxygen. So the finer the sawdust, the better in most cases. You can use wood, but wood is always risky because it'll, again, there's that much oxygen around it, it can ignite. But there are some very famous big smoke houses in Scotland that use logs in trolleys, and they're underneath their smoke houses, and they just wheel them in and out. But the distance between the vessel that holds the wood and everything is quite a distance away from the meats, which reminds me to tell you, you want your smoke box, like there's a little one which is attached right to the side of the, you know, the housing, the smoke, you know, the smoke housing. So really you could do with it further away than that, but this is just my hobby smoker. I mess around with and play around and create a few recipes down here in my allotment when I'm when I'm chilling out and things. So but the greater the distance you can create between the firebox and the box that holds your meat, the better, because smoke from the firebox will travel, of course, and as it's traveling, all the particles within the smoke, which very often you can't see by the human eye, are falling down under gravity. So you need to create distance in order this can happen. Okay, when your firebox is right directly by a smoker or underneath, these particles don't have a chance to fall away, because it's those particles that well, not only can they be carcinogenic, they offer a bitter taste to your product because they attach themselves to the meat, and you don't want that. You only want the purest smoke. So the greater distance you can offer to your smoke from the smoke box to the compartment where you're holding your meat, the better, because by the time it gets there, not only that, if there's any fire, it's cooled down. The distance has created it for it to be cool. Okay, so you get cold smoking, and not only that, you're getting the purest of smokes. That's why very often, and again, I talk about Scotland, and you know, I've done smokehouse tours around Scotland. It wasn't intentional, but I ended up doing that on several of my trips because, you know, as I was up there teaching butchery and charcuterie and things, each time I passed a smokehouse, you know, micro, small, medium, or large size smokehouses, I went in and had a look. And the best ones and the best products were those who hung their fish. They were mainly fish up there, like 4 meters up, you know, and away from the pit of the smoke fire. And of course, like by the time the smoke gets up there, it's at its purest, so you're only getting the pure smoke attaching to the product. So the better the better the things you put into something, the better the end results are, and smoking is no difference. So that's what you have to do. All right, create distance, which will create I'm talking cold smoking, chilled. I mean, today here in my allotment, even with this lovely blue sky, it's 12 degrees, and we're at the back end of September, almost coming into October, and there's an hour in the month, so we're safe. And it's just time for me to play around, whilst I do odd jobs around my allotment for this meat to smoke. So so that's what you're doing in an artisan way, and you want different results each time you smoke, because some days it's going to work and some days it's not going to work so well. So you want different results, because this enthralls you, inspires you, and and you question yourself, you question your product, and you just thrive and do better and so forth. When you're a company that needs continuity, I sometimes feel a bit sorry for you guys, because you're just doing the same boring old thing all the time, and they're usually like with electrical or mechanical, indoor smokers, and you know, with the door you know, fast shut, and it gets equal amount of time to equal amount of smoke, and it's always the same. You know, it's horses for courses, and that's okay. But you know, I always like to wear my artisan hat. So you know, all styles of homemade smokers, for me, offer the best results. Okay, and they're always different, and it's good to be different. So so what else can I tell you about smoking? Yeah, different parts of the world, you're going to have to do it at different times of the day. You know, when I've been out in Asia and Maldives in particular, we always had to do smoking in the evening and during the night, because it was just too damn hot daytime. So to achieve coal smoking, that is. And with this barrel shaped smoker, you can always you know, make yourself, or get someone to make you a saddle bag with pockets. Oh, there's a tractor just about to go by or something. No, I don't think it was a tractor. I couldn't see over this fence, but some form of agricultural vehicle. But anyway, that's gone by now. And yeah, a saddlebag with pockets, and then you could put ice blocks in the pockets in your saddlebag, and your saddlebag just sits over your barrel style shaped smoker. So the ice will travel into the you know, the cold from the ice bags will travel into your smoker and help to keep things cool. So if you're in a difficult place, and then you can always chop and change your ice blocks. You can use those big catering size plastic ones, which would work really well. So that's the way to do it. Or if you've got a tall upright smoker, you know, a bit like Little House on the Prairie, you know, where the toilet, you know, long drop toilet was out in the field, that shape. Okay, the top shelf in there again could be a tray of some kind, where you put in ice, either fresh ice or ice blocks on the top shelf, because cold travels down, heat travels up, we all know that. So with those style of smokers, particularly if they're small, you know, the cold will come down and again help to keep your products at the right temperature. So so how long do you smoke something? Well, I told you about salmon, you know, the way to start 8 hours, but it's up to you. And what I mean, this bacon, for example, I showed you, you know, that can if it burns well, if it smokes well rather, then I could have it done in 12 hours, and then other times it'll take me 3 days. So you've got to be prepared for that it's not always going to be finished at the times that you first thought. And if somebody tells you, oh, it just takes this, and just takes 6 hours, and you know, it might in theirs, and they might even have the same smoker. This is the other thing, and you only need to be 10 miles apart and the results can be different. The atmospheric conditions also play a part as well, so beware for that. So I mean, you know, if we really got into it, I could tell you loads and loads and loads and loads, you know, but but then it would become, if it's not already a boring video, it certainly would become one. But the other tip I could give you is never buy a book on smoking, because you can get what you need, the information, if you're a beginner, you can get what you need from one good chapter. So if somebody's written a book and they include one chapter on smoking, then you're most likely to pick up all the relevant points in that one chapter. If you go and buy a book specially written on smoking with, I don't know, 8 or 10 chapters about smoking, you bought the wrong book, trust me, because it'll be all waffle and it'll be just going over the same information, and just in a different way, and you'll be given a load of, you know, BS. So there'll be the people who've written books on smoking who fall upon this video. They, you know, if they know the phonetic alphabet, they'd be telling me to Foxtrot Oscar, I'm sure. But there we are. Okay, well, I hope you enjoyed this little video, and you know, have a go at smoking. It's a real artisan craft. Enjoy it, enjoy the results, and just get back to me. And you know, if you've got further questions, there's loads to be said on it. So up until then, please drop down to the link below. Buy me a coffee. Helps run these videos, the cost, and also other fundraising stuff that we do. And yeah, till then, toodaloo.